Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. How are you guys? And of course, we will be waiting for you to pick up the notification signal that I'm already online, and then we will start this conversation. Our episode for tonight is all about Empowerment Wednesdays, and our topic for tonight is all about magnifying your strengths. But before that, let's wait for you to pick up the notification, and then let's start this conversation. Hello, hello. To those of you who are watching live, please feel free to post your locations where you're watching from so that I will know where you're watching from. So if you just want to be generic, you can just say Metro Manila or maybe Philippines. That will work as well. I'm always so curious kung taga saan yung mga nanonood. I'm always so curious where you're watching from. It's just fun what the internet can do, right? I'm just here in the comfort of my home, and then you are in the comfort of your home, and then you can hear me. It's just so amazing what technology can do. And once again, I'd like to greet everyone good evening, or if you're across the globe, it's good morning or good afternoon. I'd also like to greet those who are watching via replay. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And if you are new to the channel, I'd also encourage you to visit some of the podcast episodes we've done in the past. I think we started the regular podcast episodes since April of this year. So I think we pretty much have like more than 50 podcast episodes. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the numbers. And also, just in case you want to also watch via your smart TV, you can definitely just watch via YouTube because our podcast episodes are also there now. Some pa lang, not everything. Good evening. Hello, dog. Good evening. No, it's good afternoon, right? Because we are several hours ahead. Philippines is several hours ahead. So thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Hello, Sir Joseph. Hello po, ma'am. Good evening din po. All right. So, our topic for tonight is all about Empowerment Wednesdays, and our topic for tonight is magnifying your strength. I'm not sure if it's a cultural thing, pero this is inspired definitely by constant conversations in the workplace or maybe with friends or, just random conversations. When we talk about strengths, people usually just, ignore them or be too humble about it. So tonight we are going to magnify them instead of being humble about it so that we will know how we can use those strengths, right? So that we can improve our lives and so on and so forth. But before that, let me introduce myself, especially to those who have just arrived talaga, who have just noticed the live sesh. And also, I'd like to introduce myself to those who don't know me yet. Please feel free to post in the comment section below if it's your first time to watch the podcast episode. I'm so happy that you're here. And my name is Irene, and of course, I'm a licensed real estate broker in the Philippines. I'm also a motivational speaker and a writer, and a lot of other things in between. So a lot of slashes. But for branding purposes, well, I'm a real estate broker by profession. So if you have any questions about me or maybe about the things that I do, you can definitely send me a private message. All right? And let me start the conversation by defining strength, because strength is our topic for tonight. So, strength is the quality or state of being physically strong. So, para lang sure tayo na ito yung definition. But in this conversation, we are going to talk about strength in such a way that they are about the things that we are really strong at or we are really good at, okay? Or the values that we have, or maybe some of the talents that we have. So, yun. So, those are the things that we are going to talk about tonight. So, very common, as I've mentioned earlier, that during conversations, what comes up is when you ask people, what are you good at? Parang madalas sasabihin, no, I'm not good at that. Or, Yeah, just a little bit. Maybe I'm good at that. Like, people are very humble about it. I'm not saying to be arrogant, right? I'm not saying that as well. But most people don't want to recognize, I think that's the word. People don't want to recognize what they're good at, especially when they're being asked about what they're good at. And so we have to build that confidence that every person has his or her own strength and that we should capitalize it so that we can use those strengths to our advantage, and not only to our advantage, but also to the people we are working with, right? So hindi lang naman para sa atin yung strengths natin, para din sa mga kasama natin sa trabaho, matulungan natin sila, or sa community, sa family natin. There are a lot of reasons why we should magnify our strengths. All right. So what are the strengths that we should magnify? Hello, Sir Noel. Oh, I'm so happy. Live ka nanood. Thank you, thank you. All right. So what are the strengths that we need to magnify? First, I think I talk about this last week? No, not yet yata. So I talked about this in a lecture pala. Okay, so the first strength that we have to magnify is discipline. Okay, I'm not one to talk, okay? Alam ko maraming matatawa sa mga friends ko dyan kasi discipline is something that I'm always struggling with because let's say, for example, about dietary restrictions and I still eat too much. So, but discipline is a strength. So if you are disciplined, if you have a really good level or a really good sense of self-discipline, then it's actually a strength. So you have to magnify it. The second one is innovation. And Filipinos are known, we are known for being innovative, for being creative, for being resilient, and a lot of other stuff. But being innovative is something that we should all have. And this doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be technologically advanced or it's something that involves technical talents or whatever. It's just that we should always do our best to think about something that can improve what we're already using. So innovation is important for us. So if you're innovative, then it's definitely a strength that you should magnify. I have really messy hair. That's not a strength. I noticed myself in the camera. Okay. Next is creativity. Okay. Several years ago, before the pandemic happened, there's this thing called 21st century skills. And according to some studies, some of the jobs that we have now will be automated in the future. And so, how do you keep yourself relevant in your workplace? The secret is knowing which skills to keep. And one of the skills that we need to keep, according to the studies, is the 21st century skills. Sabi sa 21st century skills, ang isa sa mga skills na yon ay creativity. Because obviously, kahit na gaano katalino ang AI or ang artificial intelligence or robots, they will never be as creative as a human being. There's always limitations to robots, but with Filipinos, but with humans, we have infinite talents that we can explore on and that we can use to be creative. Okay, so creativity. Next is intelligence. Speaking of artificial intelligence is always a strength. Okay, you don't have to brag about it if you're intelligent. I mean, if you're really intelligent, you know that your intelligence will never be enough. Okay, but intelligence is always a strength and we should never be ashamed of knowing too much, but we shouldn't be bragging about it either. So if you know more, that's great. It's always good to know more, but it's also not good to tell everyone that you know more than they do. So yun yung borderline. It's good that you know more, but you don't have to brag about it. Hi, Andy! Oh, thank you so much for tuning in. Hi! Yes, machines can be smart, but they cannot be wise. That's true. Super true. Yes. I totally agree. Also, thank you for your time earlier. Thank you so much. Patience. Hello, Sir Alexis. Good evening po. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, and next is another strength that we need to magnify is patience. Well, patience is a virtue, but unfortunately, patience is something that the younger generation do not have. I'm no longer a part of the younger generation, but maybe younger but not too young. Okay. Kasi patience, I remember, I always use this as an example because it's something that maybe the kids of today will never understand. So when you're trying to look for a book in the past, when you're trying to look for a book because it's a part of your assignment, then you have to go to the library and find the index card of the Dewey Decimal System, something like that. Then you have to find that book with the code so that you will know where you have to find the code so that you will know which rack you're gonna go to in the library. So it's a lot of work. But because of that, people were more patient. Like if you're waiting for a phone call, you really have to wait for a phone call. Unlike now, 'di ba? Pag hindi lang nakatawag in like less than 10 minutes, nagmamadali na ng phone call. Hindi ko alam kung bakit ganon. Parang kaka-miss call pa lang, parang kakatawag pa lang, tapos sasabihin, bakit hindi ko sumasagot? Kanina pa ako tumatawag. Pagtingin mo, it's just 1 minute ago, and people are always in a hurry. Lahat minamadali, di ba? So patience is no longer a virtue these days. But if you still have patience, then it's definitely a strength because not everyone has it, obviously. Okay? So next is determination. And culturally speaking, determination is something that is innate to us. Parang inborn sa atin, ng mga Pilipino, ang determined. Lagi tayong determined. Kasi nga, di ba, going back to history, we have been conquered by several conquerors. And yet, di ba, we never really gave up on fighting, in fighting for the country, for to be free, for freedom. And so, determination has been handed down to us. Binigay sa atin yun, pinasa sa atin yun ng mga nauna sa atin. And it's something that we should still continue to do, to be determined, no? If you are determined in life, it's something that you should always magnify. Walang mahirap sa isang taong determinado. Yung kinukot ko. Di ba? Walang mahirap sa isang taong tuloy-tuloy gustong lumaban or gustong ilaban yung mga bagay-bagay sa buhay niya. So, determination is a strength that we should all magnify. Another strength that we also need to magnify. Hello po, Sir Aseo. Good evening. Okay. Next is inborn and acquired talents. Sinabi ko ng inborn kasi meron talaga na parang pinanganak pa lang marunong ng kumanta. Alam niyo yun? Yung umiiyak pa lang yung bata, tapos may tono. May ganun, di ba? Yung parang at an early age, kaya niya nang kumanta, sumaya, whatever, yung mga talents that we have. But I still believe that talents can also be acquired. Kasi naalala ko noon talaga yung pagkanta ko talagang wala sa tawag doon, parang hindi mo malaman kung pa north, pa south, pa east, pa west. But I constantly did my best to develop it. Until now, I'm still developing it. Hindi ko alam kung na-develop na ba. Yun na lang talaga yung problema ko. But the thing is, you can acquire talents. You can develop them. That's the good thing about talents. Lalong-lalo na ngayon, we have an abundance of information over the internet on how we can develop our talents. So, wala nang excuse para hindi mo ma-develop yung sarili mo. So, mas maganda kung innate inborn na nasa'yo yung talent. But it's also good if you learn about talents and then, acquire them, learn about them, improve them, and embrace them, right? Next is another strength that we should also magnify is skills. And skills, just like talents, can be acquired, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Kasi minsan naisip mo, ang hirap naman ng skill na to. But then again, walang mahirap sa decidido or sa determinado. So, it's really up to you how you are going to work with that. If you really want to have skills, then definitely you have to improve yourself. Okay? Pero kung meron ka na nun, edi i-magnify mo pa. Well, the problem when we are talking about strengths and weaknesses, madalas, minamagnify natin yung weaknesses natin, tinatago natin yung strengths natin. Very common sa atin yun kasi we are scared. we are trying to hide our strengths, and we always highlight or magnify our weaknesses so that we will look humble. And also, we are scared that we will be labeled as someone as arrogant, 'di ba? Takot tayo na, lalong-lalo sa ating mga Pilipino, 'di ba? Parang, yabang naman ito ni Ivorine, porque marunong siyang ganyan, kailangan niya ipagsabi mga ganun. O kaya, yung mga nag-volunteer, naalala ko pag nag-volunteer ka sa class, 'di ba? If you volunteer in class and then you say that, I can do this, and you will be frowned upon in class. Parang, ano ba yan? Ano yung may term ngayon, yung bida-bida, ganyan. May mga ganon. But the thing is, if you're really good at it, why hide it? This is naman my principle. This is my belief. If I magnify my weakness instead of my strength, it doesn't make anybody shine even brighter than I do. Wala namang effect yun. Whether I shine bright or I don't, it doesn't affect everybody else, but it affects my self-esteem. Right? So, I mentioned this earlier in my previous podcast episodes that confidence is something that we build from within and not from outside sources. So, if you have strengths, then magnify them. But again, you don't have to brag about them, but you have to use them to your advantage and to the advantage of the people around you. So, how do we magnify? Kasi ang topic natin for tonight is magnifying our strengths. But how do we really magnify our strengths? Paano nga ba natin ipapakita or ipaparamdam na meron tayong strengths na ganito? The first one is to recognize your strengths. You will not be able to use something that you don't know if it exists. Right? So, you have to recognize that you're good at this, you're bad at this, and what can you do about it? So, bridge the gap. We have an abundance of resources, an abundance of information. We even have an abundance of mentors. I have so many mentors, by the way. Super dami. By the way, I'd like to greet all of my mentors who are watching right now, and to all the teachers, coaches, educators out there. Happy Teachers Month kasi yesterday pa yung Teachers Day. So, Happy Teachers Month in honor and in celebration of the teachers all over the world. Yan. Congratulations po sa tinahak ninyong landas. Congratulations on a very noble profession that you have chosen, and you have also served everybody because of your noble profession. So, there. So, you have to recognize your strength. Okay, balikan natin. Recognize. You cannot use something that you do not know if it exists. So, recognize is key. Recognize is the first step in magnifying your skills. Magnifying your strengths. Number 2, we have to be honest about our strengths. We don't lie to ourselves. Kasi minsan sasabihin natin, sorry sa tatamaan. Kasi minsan sasabihin natin, magaling tayo sa ganito, pero hindi naman talaga, imagination lang natin. Remember, rule number 1, recognize your strengths. But number 2 is also be honest about it. Baka naman sinasabi mo lang na strong ka dyan, pero hindi naman talaga. Diba? So, you have to be honest with yourself. You don't have to be honest with everybody else about your strengths. Not necessarily. Kasi kung ayaw mo naman talagang sabihin, di ba? But to yourself, you have to be honest. You cannot constantly lie and, hindi mo ma-improve ang isang bagay na feeling mo magaling ka na. So, you have to be honest about it. Next is, be receptive to feedback and criticisms. So, that's why I've mentioned earlier na I have so many mentors, so many of them. Bawat aspect ng buhay ko, meron akong kanya-kanyang mentor. Let's say I have a mentor for this particular aspect of my career. If I'm gonna do a career move, I have a mentor for that. If I'm gonna do something in my industry, then I have mentors for that. If I'm gonna be transacting with someone, tapos first time ko ma-encounter yun, I have a mentor for that. I always have a mentor. And so, ang nangyayari, I can hear their feedbacks, their criticisms, and all that I am now is only a product of what what my mentors taught me or what my teachers taught me. And I'm proud of that kasi hindi ko pwedeng ipagyabang na magaling ako eh. Hindi ko pwedeng ipagyabang 'yon, pero pwede kong ipagmalaki na maraming tumulong sa akin para mag-improve ako constantly. And that's because I'm really open-minded about feedbacks and criticisms. Okay, pag sinabi nilang, nako, hindi maganda yung idea mo, okay, anong better, pwede niyo po ba akong tulungan? Ganyan. So, we really have to be receptive. Kasi ang nangyayari po sa atin, minsan, lalong-lalo na pagka medyo nagkakaedad na tayo, nagde-deny na tayo ng, ano ba tawag doon? Nagde-decline? Tama ba? Nagde-decline na tayo ng mga, nako, ayoko na yan. Ayokong pakinggan yan. Magaling na ako sa ginagawa ko. But then again, there will always be people who will give us very constructive feedbacks. And we should listen to them. We don't necessarily have to follow them. Take note. Pwede kang makinig pero hindi mo naman kailangang tanggapin. Pero kung nakinig ka, also tinanggap mo, maganda rin. Kasi yung mga sinasabi nila, if it's constructive, then it can help you out in your growth and development talaga. Tama ba yung term ko? It can help you out in your development, in your progress, in your life in general, di ba? Marami pong mga ganyan, marami pong mentors. In fact, kung meron po akong mentors, nagme-mentor din po ako sa mga kailangan ng mentors. And why do I do that? Well, it's because I'm paying it forward. Marami pong tumulong sa akin para ma-achieve ko yung mga bagay-bagay. And then I would also help other people to improve on themselves. And this is one of those ways on paying it forward. So, yung mga natutunan ko, sinishare ko din. Kasi remember, learning, kung hindi mo madadala ang kayamanan hindi mo madadala yung kayamanan sa hukay, hindi mo rin madadala ang katalinuhan o ang wisdom. Yung mga natutunan natin, kailangan din natin silang i-share. Hindi natin pwedeng dalahin yan sa hukay natin. It's not gonna make sense. Sayang naman ang mga natutunan natin kung di natin i-share. So, we only get richer. When it comes to learning, we only get richer when we share it with other people. So, yon, ganun. Next is, share what you have to others, like your knowledge, skills, talents. Thank you, Sir Joseph. Hello, Ma'am May. Hello po, good evening. Thank you so much. Sorry, thank you so much. Nawala, tinitingnan ko yung yung phone ko. Okay, next is, another way on how we magnify our strengths. Hindi ko mabasa, pasensya na, wait lang. Is to widen social network with the right people. Ayan, saktong-sakto kasi kakasabi ko lang about mentors. And I also talked about this in the podcast episode about building your A-team or creating your A-team, your alpha team. Kailangan, kung gusto mo talagang maging magaling ka or magpakadalubhasa ka sa isang bagay, you should be with the right people. If you really want to be great with your craft, then you should be with the right people, the right mentors, the right people who will support you, the right people who have the guts to criticize you, and alam nila na that they can criticize you. So these are the people that you stick with. Kasi mahal ka ng mga taong to. So always build a network of people who are very strong as well. They have their own strengths and they're not scared to admit that they have them. And also that they will constantly support you sa endeavors mo. And they will tell you when they will not support you. They should not be scared to call you out. So kung meron kayong mga ganitong tao, masaya to kasi they are also able to help you in magnifying your strengths. So for example, as a real estate practitioner, I have so many mentors in real estate. Okay, sobrang dami ko ring real estate mentors. And so the advantage is I can ask them anytime if I'm doing the right thing or what else can I improve on or ano pa yung mga pwede kong gawin para mas gumanda yung performance ko at work, ganyan. So, and also they're not scared to call me out. They will tell me if my ideas are mediocre. So yun, I keep those people in my life because I know that all they want for me is to be better in my craft and also that I will have a better life. So ganun din dapat tayo. We stick with the people who want to see us, who want to see us succeed, wag nating damdamin yung mga taong ayaw tayo maging successful. Hayaan na natin sila. Maraming ganyan, maraming bitter sa mundo. Wag na natin silang pansinin. Kasi sa dinami-dami ng tao sa mundo, konti lang yung mga bashers na yan. Mas marami pa rin yung nagmamahal sa atin. So, we stick with those people. Alright? Next is, magnify your strength by taking up challenges and opportunities. Okay, lalong-lalo na ng pandemic. When the pandemic happened, people were, everyone was shocked because we did not see this coming. Or even if we did not know how to handle it. And so, what do we do next? So, we take up the challenge, especially yung mga business owner dyan. Diyos ko, ang hirap nung nagsimula last year, nung nagsimula yung pandemic. It was really hard. But now, you will see that businesses are slowly recovering. They are slowly picking up their pace. They are now slowly developing. Some are innovating. Ang daming ginagawa. So, take up the challenge. Ano ba yung ito yung nabasa ko sa isang book. I forgot which book it is. Sabi niya doon, every stage of our lives require a different kind of strength. So, for example, when we were kids, yung strength na kailangan natin doon, physical. Kasi laro ka lang ng laro. Pero naalala ko noon, when I was a kid, meron din mga strategy. Kasi naalala ko yung mga laro noon, sobrang mga physical. So, kailangan mong pag-isipan yung mga, for example, mga taguan. Kailangan mo ng mga strategy. So, but, when we were kids, in general, what kind of strength did we need? Well, it required physical strength. And then when we went to school, nagkaroon na tayo ng, kailangan na natin ng mental strength. And then eventually, when adolescence came in, di ba, nagsimula tayong maging adult, paunti-unti, nagkaroon na tayo, kinailangan na natin ng emotional strength. So, nag-iba-iba. No? Every single stage of our life, meron tayong iba't ibang level ng strength na kailangan. So, kung anong stage ka ng buhay mo ngayon, I don't know what you're going through. Like, lahat tayo may pinagdadaanan. Ang tanong ko dito, anong klaseng strength ang kailangan mong i-magnify? For example, kung physical strength, halimbawa, may mga iba sa atin na hindi masyadong physically unwell. And then, kailangan mong i-magnify yung physical strength mo. Mag-exercise ka, kumain ka ng maayos, matulog ka ng maayos. Diba? Ngayon, kung ang pinagdadaanan mo naman ay financial, then it requires a lot of mental strength. Financial yung problem mo eh. So, it requires a lot of mental strength. So, yun naman ang i-magnify mo. So, every stage or every scenario in our lives require a different kind of strength. So, pipili ka lang kung alin dun yung kailangan mong i-magnify. You don't have to magnify everything all at once. Medyo mahirap yon. So, pili ka lang kung alin yung kailangan mong i-magnify. Okay? Next is, take note of your weaknesses. Okay, take note. Take note lang. If you don't have the strength to improve on it, but ang importante, you have to take note of it. Why? Kasi syempre, ang kabaliktaran ng strength, weakness. So for example, I remember this friend of mine, sabi niya sa akin, I really cannot do sales because I'm an introvert. So this is what I told her. I'm also an introvert. And nobody wants to believe me when I say that. Like, everybody laughs at me when I say that I'm an introvert, but I am an introvert. Like, mahirap for me na yung maraming tao, tapos parang sabay-sabay yung sasalita, tapos parang nauubos yung energy ko. It's one of the telltale signs to know if you're an introvert. Kung nauubos yung energy mo sa salamuha sa mga tao. So, those are one of the telltale signs. But anyway, so this is what I told her. My strength is communication. But my weakness is being exposed for a long period of time with so many people, draining my energy. So that's my weakness. I know my weakness, but I didn't have to highlight it. Okay? Alam ko na yun eh. Basta alam ko, yun yung point. At least alam ko. And then whenever I find the chance to improve it, I will. So, ang ginawa ko, over the years, expose ko yung sarili ko sa mga maraming tao, ganyan, sumasama ko sa mga events, ganyan, para masanay ako. Okay? Because I did not grow up in a big family. So, we are a small family. So, nasanay ako na konti lang yung mga tao, 'di ba? So, yun yung nakasanayan ko. And eventually, it became, not naman a weakness, but it became something na I'm not too comfortable with, right? So, but in my industry, it's somehow a weakness kasi exposed lagi sa tao yung mga nasa industry ko, right? Because that's how we build relationships, that's how we build networks, that's also how we transact. There's a lot of people. Pero, eventually, for as long as I know what I'm doing and I know what I cannot do, and eventually, I improve it constantly, paulit-ulit lang. Kasi alam ko kung saan ako weak. So, you just have to take note of your weakness. Kasi ang nangyayari po din sa atin, ito yung nagiging problem. Porke mahina tayo sa isang bagay, hinahayaan na lang natin siya. But then again, this is what I believe in. If you really want to constantly improve yourself, you have to know your weaknesses and do something about it. Hindi pwedeng, hayaan mo na, mahina talaga ako sa math. O kaya hayaan mo na, mahina talaga ako magsalita. Tapos hayaan na lang natin. Pero you did not do anything about it. You have to do something about it. If you really want to improve yourself, you have to do something about it. And again, you can ask people to help you out. You can ask for help. Hindi po masamang humingi ng tulong kapag kailangan nyo mag-improve. And, be humble enough to accept that you can be taught. Yun lang naman yun eh. Yung willing ka matuto, that's already a good sign that you want to improve on yourself. Hello po, Miss Valderrama. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, parang seryoso ng mga pinagsasabi ko tonight. Sorry po. Tuloy-tuloy yata ako nagsasalita, kaya medyo masakit na yung lalamunan ko. Wait, just, random lang. Yesterday, sobrang nagpanic ako. Sobrang sakit ng lalamunan ko. And then I realized I was talking from 8 a.m. to almost 10 p.m. Tapos doon ko na-realize, okay, alam ko na kung bakit masakit yung lalamunan ko. These days, diba? It's COVID season. So, hindi tayo pwedeng sumakit yung lalamunan. Tapos na-realize ko, I was speaking from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Hindi sumakit lalamunan mo noon. So, there. Meetings here and there, classes here and there. Ayan. Yan yung nangyari. Sumakit yung lalamunan ko. Okay. Also, this is a cliche. I think nagkaroon na tayo ng podcast episode about this. Getting out of your comfort zone. I'm not sure. Sa mga constant na nanonood ng podcast episodes, meron na ba tayo nito? Getting out of your comfort zone. So, I think meron na akong ginawang podcast episode nito. I'm not sure kung dito or yung dati pa sa personal Facebook page ko. So, we have to get out of our comfort zone. Ano po ba yung ibig sabihin ng comfort zone? Let me just share with you, again, my story kasi yun yung napagdaanan ko eh. So, it's really personal to me. So, I lived in my hometown for so many years. And then, at one point, I had to move to Manila. So, that's like 12 hours away from my hometown. I did my best to find a job, etc., etc. I started my career, 500 kilometers away from home. And it was a huge move. It was really out of my comfort zone because at first, I was alone. Wala talaga akong ibang kasama. And for me, that was one of the biggest moves that I ever did in my life. But I felt it felt liberating to know that you can do more beyond what you thought you can do. Kasi akala ko noon, akala ko hanggang dito lang ako, akala ko ito lang yung kaya kong gawin. But when you're alone, it pushes you to do beyond what you expected yourself to do. Parang ganon. So, get out of your comfort zone. And comfort zone, maraming definition yung comfort zone. It may be, for me, moving from one city to another. That's a comfort zone. It may be promotion sa trabaho. Yung iba, I've met so many people na ayaw nila ma-promote, no? Kasi sabi nila, mas malaki yung responsibilities pag ganon. But you have to get out of your comfort zone. If you want to succeed in your career, you have to get out of your comfort zone. Sa business, 'di ba? Ganun din. Hindi po pwede na paulit-ulit lang yung mga offerings natin. Dapat mag-explore tayo ng ibang opportunities so that we can expand our businesses. So if you constantly just focus, on one thing dyan sa business mo, tapos natatakot ka mag-explore kasi baka mag-fail, but what if you don't fail? 'Di ba? Paano kung mag-succeed yun? Paano mo malalaman? Eh, yun nga yung laging sinasabi sa akin. Paano mo malalaman kung hindi mo naman susubukan? So, you have to get out of the comfort zone and you will know your answer once you're there. Alright? And of course, next is go further with your education. And education comes in so many ways. Sino nga ba yung nagsabi? I think it's Steve Jobs. I'm not sure. Sabi niya there are two kinds of education. One that's formal and one that you learn because you went through life. So, yung formal education natin, don't take that for granted. Especially to our young audience. Don't take your formal education for granted. I'll say that again. Don't take your formal education for granted. Marami pong nanonood ng mga younger audience, mga estudyante, ganyan. Take your education seriously. Number one, your parents worked really hard so that they can send you to school. That's number one. Number two, that's a privilege that not everyone enjoys. Okay? Privilege yan. Education is a privilege. Not everyone can have it. Kasi, di ba, kung titingnan natin sa global perspective, ang dami pa rin uneducated. Kasi nga, it's a privilege. It's not given to many. It's good in the Philippines that it's a right. There's a right to education. But then again, kahit right mo yan, kung hindi kinaya, di ba, na makapag-aral ka, hindi mo talaga siya ma-achieve, right? So, appreciate it as a privilege. Number three, third reason why you should appreciate your formal education. Kasi, at the end of the day, it's your life. Magagamit mo yan. Kahit anong gawin mo, basta nakapagtapos ka ng pag-aaral at maayos yung pag-aaral mo, pag nakatapos ka, merong magka-come up na opportunity para sa'yo. Okay? So, it's really for you. Hindi yan para sa magulang mo na maging pride ka nila. Secondary yon. Ang pinakaunang dahilan bakit tayo pinag-aral ng mga magulang natin is for us. Because they know that they will not be there forever to be supporting us. So they send us to school, to formal education, so that we can one day stand on our own 2 feet. So dapat ma-appreciate natin yung formal education. I'm a big believer of education. I belong to a family of educators. And I really appreciate it when people appreciate education. Ngayon kasi mahirap ma-appreciate yung education because it's online. But the thing is, whether it's online or offline, hindi naman yun dahil sa platform na ginagamit natin kung bakit tayo na-inspire mag-aral eh. Nasa motivation mo yan as a student. Bakit mo nga ba gustong mag-aral? If you appreciate the importance of education, you will take your education more seriously. So, take your education seriously. But for the adults in the room, okay, graduate na kami dyan, graduate na kami. Paano naman kami, kailangan pa ba namin mag-aral? Eh, sabi nga ng isang author, di ba, there are 2 types of education. The one is formal education, the other one is based on experiences. So ngayon, ano yung mga natutunan natin sa buhay natin? Education din yun. Kasi yung pagiging educated natin, hindi lang siya natatapos sa mga libro na ginagamit or binabasa natin. Hindi lang siya natatapos sa classroom. Hindi doon natatapos ang education natin. Yung mga experiences natin along the way, they are also a form of education. Marami tayong natutunan. Sabi ko nga last time, marami nga akong natutunan sa breakup, sa buhay pa kaya, 'di ba? Sa buhay in general. Marami tayong matututunan. So sa mga heartbreaks natin, marami tayong matututunan. Sa mga failures natin, marami tayong matututunan. So this is the school of life. We are being educated by life and we should embrace it. Kung ano yung mga natutunan natin, please, i-apply na natin. Huwag na nating ulitin, 'di ba? Kasi kaya nga 'di ba sabi nila, kapag paulit-ulit daw yung problema mo, ibig sabihin may hindi ka natututunan na itinuturo sa'yo ng buhay natin. So, ano yun? So, let's say, paulit-ulit kang nahihirapan let's say, sa relationship, ano yung hindi mo natututunan? O kaya paulit-ulit kang nahihirapan sa trabaho, ano yung hindi mo natututunan? So, that's why, you have to always, you really have to take a look at your life every now and then para ma-assess natin, no? Meron ba tayong problema? Bakit kaya nalulungkot ako recently? Bakit kaya may mga heartbreaks ako recently? Ganyan. Bakit kaya paulit-ulit yung heartbreaks ko? Bakit kaya paulit-ulit yung taong nananakit sa akin? Ano yung hindi ko natututunan? Okay? So that's what we mean by, by further your education. This is how we magnify our strengths. Sa pamamagitan ng education natin, sa pamamagitan ng mga natututunan natin. Also, another form of education is talking to people. Lalong-lalo na yung mga people of substance. Yung mga, ano ba sa Tagalog? May mga sense. Hindi yung mga puro kalokohan lang. Masaya din naman yung mga kalokohan, ganyan. We're not always serious. Pero kapag gusto mo ng serious na usapan, dapat meron kang taong malalapitan na serious yung usapan. Lalong-lalo na kung may gusto kang matutunan. Okay. And of course, so and my last but definitely for me, one of the most significant tips I can share with you, as I've repeatedly said, and this is very timely as well dahil we are celebrating Teachers Month. Please acquire yourself a mentor or build a network of mentors that you can turn to whenever you need to improve your strengths. Marami ang willing maging mentor. In fact, may mga mentors yata ako nanonood sa sa podcast ngayon. So, in fact, I approached several people, lalong-lalo na nung nag-pandemic. Ang dami kong in-approach na mentors. And matutuwa kayo kapag nalaman nyo na yung mga in-approach ninyong mentors, actually, let's say 10 yung in-approach kong mentors, 9 of them said yes to me. And the only reason na yung isa, hindi siya pumayag, let's say lang, to illustrate the numbers, yung isa, kaya lang siya hindi pumayag na maging mentor ko kasi busy siya, marami siyang ginagawa. Pero sabi niya kung given the chance, willing siya maging mentor. So, acquire yourself a mentor. Marami dyan. And I'm saying, nag-volunteer na nga ako. If you need a mentor, you can definitely send a message. You just have to let me know kung ano yung kailangan ninyong mentorship, diba? Kasi I'm also paying it forward. So, always seek to improve yourself because that's how you magnify your strengths. Now, my assignment, yes, teacher. So, my assignment, before you go to sleep tonight, list down some of the things or maybe all of the things, yun ang better, all of the things that you believe you're good at. Kahit ano yan, magaling ka magluto, magaling ka mamalansya, let's say household chores muna. Kasi ako sa bahay namin sa totoo lang, magaling ako maghugas ng pinggan. Sobrang flawless ko maghugas ng pinggan yan. Pero, weak ako sa pagluluto because I never really liked cooking. As in ever. Very open ako dyan. Like, lahat ng friends ko alam to, na pag sinabi ko magluluto ako, nagjo-joke ako. Because I never really liked cooking. But then again, I know where I'm weak at. Pero marunong ako magluto. Hindi ko sinabing hindi. Pero hindi ko siya gustong gawin. Okay? Pero marunong ako magluto kasi syempre kailangan akong kumain. So, you have to know. Para the more you get to know yourself, the easier it is to magnify your strengths. You cannot magnify something you do not know. You cannot improve something that you do not know. So the key thing here is find out more about yourself. Get to know yourself. Fall in love with yourself. Hindi ko sinasabing maging narcissistic kayo, but you have to really love yourself to be able to know all these things. And the more you improve yourself, mapapansin niya ng mga tao sa paligid ninyo makaka-affect kayo in a positive way. The more you improve yourself, the more you magnify your strengths, the more na nakakatulong tayo sa family natin, sa workplace natin, sa community natin, and in general, sa mundo natin. May isang tao na inspired, improve ang sarili niya. Doesn't that make us better people if we constantly want to improve ourselves so that we can contribute to the lives of other people? Yun naman yun, 'di ba? We don't just live because we are given this life. We live because we serve a purpose. Now, the purpose is to become better people so that we can influence others to do the same and make the world a better place to live in. Di ho ba? Yun naman talaga yung pinaka-goal natin. We shouldn't die without serving a purpose. Yun yung sasabihin ko. And the way to serve that purpose is to magnify what you're really, really, really good at and give it to the world. Share it with the world. kung saan ka magaling, yun yung i-share mo, di ba? Huwag mo nang i-share. Kagaya ko, hindi ko na siya-share yung mga niluluto ko kasi dito talaga siya. Hindi papasa. Pero, alam ko na marami pa akong ibang talent na pwede kong i-share yun. Willing akong i-share yun. 24/7. Willing akong i-share yun. So, tonight, before you go to sleep, list down some of the things that you're really, really good at and build your foundation around it and tell people na you're willing to help them with the strengths that you have. And kung ano man yung weaknesses mo, hanap ka rin ng mga tao na yun ang strengths nila. Okay? Para mag-complement. So, kung ano yung strengths ko, i-share ko sa'yo kung ano yung weaknesses ko, sana maturuan mo din ako. Parang ganon, di ba? Complementing each other. It's always a good thing. So, there you go. Hopefully, we're able to learn an insight or two from our podcast episode tonight, which is all about magnifying your strengths. So, if you have questions, do not hesitate to send me a message via private message or maybe WhatsApp. Open naman po yung lines natin. And you can also send us an email at business@ivreen.com if you have other questions about the topic that we had tonight. And also, I'd like to thank yung mga first time po na manood ng podcast episode. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed watching the podcast episode and you also learned something new tonight, or maybe kung hindi man new, medyo na-remind po kayo ng mga bagay-bagay na alam na ninyo. Maganda yon, to be constantly reminded of the things that we already know. And apply it again sa buhay natin, just in case nakalimutan natin i-apply. And with that, thank you so much, everyone. Please do not forget to share this video if this helped you out or if you feel na makakatulong to sa ibang tao sa inyong circle. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless you all. Bye-bye!